All right, Managerial Accounting Example 6C, Part 2. We're going to look at residual income as an alternative to return on investment. So what is residual income and what does it do? If you look back at the problems that we had with return on investment, the problems really came for a couple reasons. First of all, we've got this percentage deal where if you combine a lower percentage with a higher percentage, you are creating an average, and that means that a high-performing manager will only want to invest in extremely high-performing products that will bring the ROI up even further. And the manager won't have an incentive to invest in products that bring the ROI down, even if top management would like them to. The flip side of that is your poor performing managers will have an incentive to invest even in poor performing products as long as they're better than what they're currently doing. So that's that percentage averaging problem. Also, if you look at the calculation for return on investment, it doesn't in any way consider management's requirements. It's simply descriptive of what would currently be earned, but it doesn't really have any built-in hurdle or comparison against the requirements that management has. Residual income is an alternative measure of how well investment performance is being managed that solves, in a sense, both of those problems. It's not a percentage, so it doesn't have the averaging percentage problem, and it includes the minimum return on investment that management requires. So we'll take a look at residual income. Put a bar there to separate these two. All right, so we'll look at requirement 6. And we'll do the East Division and the West Division. Residual income, if you think about what a residual is, or a residue, or residual, it's something that's left after something is taken out. In this case, residual income is the amount of income that's left after a certain base amount of income or required amount of income is taken out. The required amount of income depends on the amount of assets invested, which in this case is 100 million for East and 40 million for West, and the required rate of return. And what this basically says is, given that you've got $100 million invested, if you've got to earn a 14% return, then 14% of your $100 million is $14 million. And if you're the West Division and you have $40 million of assets, and those $40 million of assets need to generate a 14% return, then the minimum required operating income you've got to earn just to meet your 14% on the $40 million is $5.6 million. So that's our required net income. And what we're going to do is we're going to take our actual net income which in this case is 17 million for the East and 1 million from the West. We're going to subtract out the required net income. And that will give us the residual income. And what this measure says is that the East Division needs to earn a bare minimum of $14 million just to justify the $100 million investment. It's earned more than that. It's earned $17 million, so it's earned $3 million more than the bare minimum. So its residual income is positive. Residual income, you want it to be positive, and bigger is always better. So in this case, $3 million is positive. That's a good thing. If you look at the West Division, we see that in order to justify the $40 million investment, Fredo's got to earn $5.6 million. If he earns $1 million instead of the 5.6, then he's in the hole by 4.6. So he's not earning enough to be worth the investment that he's making. Now again, because he's a brother-in-law, he gets to keep his job. This is kind of not giving us any new information from what we had before. We already knew that East Division was earning more than the 14%, and West Division was earning less than the 14%. And the fact that East Division is positive positive residual income, and West Division is negative, that really tells us the same thing as the fact that one's earning more than 14 and one's earning less. So it's not whether we learn anything here, but it's the change that comes if we add the new product line. All right, so let's take a look at products A and B. Let's take a look at the products by themselves and see if the products generate positive or negative residual income. So product A has $4 million of assets. It has a 14% required return. So in order to be a successful product, product A has to generate $560,000 of net income. What is new product A going to generate? It's going to generate $600,000. So it's going to generate a positive residual income. Because it earns by itself a 15% return, which is higher than the 14%, by definition it's going to have a positive residual income. Let's look at product B. Product B is going to require assets of $2.5 million at a 14% return. That means it's got to generate $350,000 of net income to be successful. In other words, to be a good use of the $2.5 million investment. How much is it going to generate? It's only going to generate $250,000. So product B by itself generates a negative residual income. So what that means is both managers are going to want to invest in product A, and they're not going to want to invest in product B, because no matter what you're currently making, whether you're making more than 14, less than 14%, whatever you're going to do, product A will add $40,000 to your residual income. And so if you're the East Division, your residual income would go up from $3 million to $3,040,000. Even though it's a lower percent return than it's currently making, because residual income is measured in dollars, not in percents, then the $3 million plus the 40 will make you better off. So the East Division manager does want to invest in product A if the measurement of success is residual income. Any product above a 14% return, by definition, will get a positive residual income. So really, the East Division manager is going to want to invest in anything that's above 14%, and so the conflict of interest is reduced, or is completely eliminated here. Top management wants anything above 14, so would the division managers. If we look at product B, same thing. It earns less than a 14% return. It earns a 10% return. So any product that earns less than a 14% return is going to make your residual income worse. If you're positive, if you're the East Division manager, it's going to bring it down from 3 to 2.9. If you're the West Division manager, it's going to make your negative residual income even more negative. So it doesn't have this problem where it's better than you're currently doing, so it'll make you better off, because the comparison built in here is whether it's better or worse than the 14%. So anything worse than 14% makes you worse off. So requirement 7 says both managers want to invest in A, and requirement 8, neither manager wants to invest in B. So that's requirement 7 and requirement 8. Okay. So residual income completely solves the conflict of interest problem. Why does ROI still persist then? Why does everybody talk about ROI? Why does the measure of ROI still get used so much, even though it's got this big conflict of interest problem? And it is a real problem. It still exists, ROI still exists, because the problem that it has, which is a percent, is also its strong suit. Percents are very helpful ways for people to think. One reason that it's helpful is if you want to compare the performance of very differently sized organizations, you want to compare Walmart to basically anything else, because Walmart's so much bigger than everything else. Or if you have two different divisions within the same company, and one's got 100 million of assets and the other's got 40 million of assets, the different sizes makes it really hard to compare whether a dollar figure of residual income is good or bad in context. Obviously, anything that's positive is good. Anything that's greater than zero is good. Anything that's larger is better than anything that's smaller. But what if you've got this East Division that makes 3 million of residual income and Walmart also makes 3 million of residual income? You can't really make a direct comparison there because the size is so different. So one reason that ROI keeps being used is that percentages help you compare differently sized products. The other reason I think that it keeps being used is that percentages sort of help you determine how much of an investment you can make. In other words, they allow you to compare differently sized investments in different kinds of things. Percentages um, help you when you've got decisions to make, not just evaluations, but decisions to make. And they're kind of standardized across whether you're going to get an investment in a product, whether you're going to invest in a whole company, whether you're going to make an investment in some financial instrument, no matter what it is. Percentages sort of always come down to the same thing. You can compare percentages easily. So across divisions, across sizes, across investment types, percentages are just sort of something everyone is very comfortable with. So that's why ROI persists, even though it's got this conflict of interest problem. The conflict of interest problem is real. Your best managers won't want to invest in good but not great products. But that's just sort of a cost you have to bear because you can't measure everything perfectly. So I hope that was helpful on residual income and return on investment. If you have any questions, let me know. Thanks.